computer. Yeah, so today what we'll discuss is how these different models that we discussed yesterday uh, are manifest in various farm communities around the world. And then we have to think about what we will do with our own life. Because if we keep on working for corporate America, we'll get money, but then we'll lose our soul. Like there is a saying in Bible, what good is a man who earns the world or wins the world but loses his eternal soul, right? You can win the entire world, like we will never win like other people are winning, right? Like Jeff Bezos, one day his net worth went up by $23.6 billion because of the rise in Amazon price. One day, right? We will never have that magnificent type of winning the world or anything anyways. So then we have to figure out what we will do with these lives. So remember these three things. Maturity model one is outside employment, right? So in certain ways that is suited to us. Second is priests are being employed to do agricultural chores. By the way, much smarter people than me put together this model. So it's not like I put together this. I'm just talking about this. Number three is they are neighbors, but they are independent neighbors, right? So what it means is you are still in your own Brahmanda. You are not really thinking about how to do something better. Number four is co-housing. Co-housing separate from the land. But you have lands and cows and all that. So this is probably more suited to the Seattle model. And then finally, Daivi Varnashrama community, where everybody lives in one place and actually, actually follows the principles laid out by Srila Prabhupada. So these are the 5 different models that we are planning. I'm accepting some people, but they're vanishing. For example, Arjun Saka Prabhu joined and then suddenly he vanished. I don't know what happened, how this technology is working or not working. Okay, so now remember those models and then we will continue our today's journey. So we talked about quotes from Varnashrama, what is this legal structure for the farms, and then farm challenges in the Northwest, how weather can impact us or not. So wetland needs draining. You cannot have everything in like a low-lying thing. It has to be like a slope so that water drains. There's a problem with taxes and zoning in the American context. But we also have some benefits like very little water. We have already trained people and our Seattle community is leader in many respects like that. And then the other thing is religious intentional community. We said that to qualify for this status, community must have religious teachings, must live communally, means together, and keep a common treasury. With this, we get some benefits from the US government. Otherwise, we will be taxed at a higher rate. Then we talked about 501D entity is not taxed on its income because whatever income we make, it's tax-free. And then whatever revenue we get, we can give it as a dividend to our members, not as wages, but dividends, and they will be treated as dividends at whatever 15% tax rate in the US. So this is like running your own company, but more of an agricultural company. That's what it really means. And then depending upon the bylaws, the governance structure can change. The entity can have different types of governance structure. Then we came to this one and we stopped yesterday because people were already getting tired. So now maybe Sridhar Gopal, maybe you can read this.
Yes, Dharmic social intercourse. Because the 501D model requires that there be religious teachings and tenets followed, the entity is permitted to take guidelines concerning conduct among its members. The spiritual codes in this connection may be enforced to whatever standard the entity's bylaws and other managerial documents set.
Yeah. So what this means is, if you have scriptural codes, you can enforce that on your farm, right? Otherwise, people will say, "Oh no, I will sue you because you are impinging on my privacy laws or whatever." And then you say, "Are Baba, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita like this. We have to do X, Y, and Z. Therefore, you will not have frivolous lawsuits on the farm, right? Whereas your neighbor can hear your Hare Krishna music and put a case on you. They'll say, this fellow is not letting me sleep. And because I could not sleep, I lost my job. And therefore, I will sue this fellow for $100,000. Right? So those things don't apply on a 501D. So US government is actually encouraging us, allowing us to form religious communities, because this country was formed based on religion. If you remember, this country originally was formed on the basis of religion, actually. Then, okay, go ahead, Sridhar.
Yes, interdependency. The communal businesses and activities naturally facilitate an interdependent mood among the community members.
Yeah. So interdependent mood means, like right now, we have a farm, we have a temple, we have so many things. But at the same time, we are not interdependent, right? We have our own livelihood, and we have our own way of spending. Some people spend more, some people spend less, but we have our own lifestyle. Whereas interdependency is encouraged in the farm communities by US government law itself. They'll say communal businesses are encouraged, and they develop that interdependent mood. Okay, go to the third one.
Yeah. Division of labor. Because the 501D model does not allow the members to be paid, work is not monetized. Consequently, no one picks their service on the criteria of how much it pays. Rather, each devotee can honestly engage according to his or her own propensity or as needed, and be maintained by the community's treasury, regardless of whether one is serving in the income generating business or in some non-income generating capacity.
Yeah. So this is the difference between this and the company, right? So companies are considered profit-making corporations, and this will be a non-profit corporation called 501D. Very different than 501c3. And then lawyers can tell us what the difference is, but we'll just focus on this one. So what this means is, based on the propensity, you engage in your activity. So US government has already thought about Varnashrama in some sense, actually. If you really look at it, this is what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, right? What does he say? Sridhar Gopal, you remember that verse? Chatur dash dash dash.
Yeah, I could not recollect from this.
Yeah. Okay, Devnath Hari, you know that verse? Chatur dash dash dash. Ajit.
Kshatriya Varanyam Maya Srishtam. Is that what it was?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's it, Prabhu.
Okay, Chatur Varna Maya Srishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasaha.
Karma Vibhagasya. Yeah.
So based on Guna and Karma, your activity is defined. So it's not like everybody can be the leader of a congregation or a community. It has to be based on Guna and activities, right? Karma. So surprisingly, the US government has already said that based on his own propensity or as needed, be maintained by community's treasury. So everybody can have their individual bank balance, but whatever income that comes on the community will go to a common treasury. Right? And this is the model that Srila Prabhupada encouraged, actually, and this is the model that worldwide they are following wherever they are farm communities. Okay, Sridhar, go to the fourth one.
There is one community in India, Prabhu. Its name is Aruville. Aruville, I think it's in Pondicherry or something.
Yeah, Aruville. Yeah, I know that.
So they also, actually they get paid, I think like 10 rupees or something like that, but everybody gets paid same amount. Right. And then they buy their things, but it goes collectively. So it's as if you're not getting anything, you're not giving anything. It's
correct. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so whatever income comes in that model goes to the community treasury, and then they can give dividends, right? So that 10 rupees was the dividend, what you mentioned. So it could be 10 rupees, 100 rupees, 1000 rupees, whatever the case might be. If the community generates more revenue, then distribution will be equitable. So what happens is, in that model, there is no greed and anger, right? So typically what happens in the capitalistic society, they will say, "Arey, why should Satya Nadella get 199 million a year salary? And why should I only get 100K?" Right? So, but obviously he's working harder, has got contacts, and he has got the intelligence. So people will not accept that. There will be envy set in. But in this model, there is no chance for envy because everybody will be equally distributed. Okay. Sridhar Gopal, please go ahead.
Self-sufficiency and sustainability. Because the 501D model does not allow the community to be supported by the outside income of its members. The community's economy is internally fueled. Devotees can produce what they need to the extent that they are able and may conduct communal businesses to collect funds needed for purchasing items the community cannot yet produce and for paying for the property tax and other such things. Such communal businesses and revenue generation may, among other things, consist of the typical activities that bring funds into ISKCON projects, namely book and prasadam distribution as well as donations.
Yeah. So this becomes like a communal project. Again, Srila Prabhupada said that farm projects are our projects. Means ultimately it is under the ISKCON umbrella. They cannot, it is not like independent, right? Otherwise it will become like any other, any other farm community, like I showed yesterday, right? Let me go back to those models, like the Western models. Where did I show that? I don't see it now. Oh yeah, here it is. Like Willowsford, 4,000 acres, bunch of people got together and they're living in a village. But there's no Krishna in the center, right? It is just like, okay, a bunch of people don't like New York City, so they will use their money after retirement, go to a small rural village in Virginia, erect a community and live there. The other one is like Vermont, right? All these are beautiful places, as you can see. They are very green with flowers, flower plants and everything else. These are farm communities, but there's no Krishna in the center. This emerging trend of agri-hoods. Instead of neighborhoods, they are called agri-hoods because agriculture is the primary basis for those. But since there is no Krishna in the center, it is kind of useless from our perspective. So these are 4 characteristics of a Dhaivi Varnashrama and supported by US government law in the 501D model. Let's look at other attributes. Okay. So Vikas, can you read this, please?
Which one, Prabhu? Fourth one?
No, we are in the next slide. It looks similar, but it's different.
Oh, I see. Okay. So pursuance of bhakti, again, because the 501D model requires that there be religious teachings and tenets followed, and because it does not allow payments of salaries, wages, or stipends to members, advancement towards pure, unmotivated devotional service is greatly facilitated.
Right. So because there are only dividends, there are no salaries or wages. One cannot say, I'm getting more, he's getting less, nothing like that. Everybody collectively works and dividends are allocated because it's a common model. We have to see how it can be implemented, but I'm just giving you the theory, right? The basics. Okay. Next one.
Practice of cow protection, agriculture, cottage industry, schooling. Because the communal living is a requirement, activities such as cow protection, agriculture, and schooling, which require many hands, naturally become the concern of all the members in an interdependent manner. The cows, fields, etc. are our rather than somebody else's concern.
Yeah. So because everybody should have that sense of ownership, right? It is our. And when will they have the sense of ownership? If it is interdependent. Like if your activity is dependent on somebody else, then you are forced to cooperate, right? Right now, we are forced to cooperate in our office, but we are not forced to cooperate necessarily as devotees. We will do it out of our own will. Like somebody may work very hard, like Namrata Prabhu is always in the temple, but other people may not always be in the temple, like that, right? Some people put in more effort, some people put in less effort. But here, if there's interdependency, right? Unless you cut the grass, I cannot feed the cows, for example. So what does it do? It forces interdependency. Yeah. Okay, go on.
Yeah. Spiritual communism. The 501D model facilitates the practice of spiritual communism with establishment of communal treasury, communal businesses, communal property, and non-monetization of work. The Krishna conscious teaching followed by the community brings the sense of proprietorship from me-centered to or community-centered to the level of Krishna-centered. Okay.
Yeah. So sometimes we, even though we call ourselves devotee, we become me-centered because we are in our own 4-bedroom home. There is a tight lock in the front door. Whatever we are doing is only known to our spouses and children. That's it. So everything becomes me, 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 me. Like we come into Krishna consciousness thinking Krishna is centered. Yes. Each one of us had that experience. Array, there is some value in this, ISKCON temple. But then over a period of time, me, 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 me will become very me-centered. And that has happened to all of us. We should acknowledge that. Okay, continue.
Preaching by example. There is strength and therefore more probability of success in numbers. The 501D model with its communal living and communal businesses allows devotees of different various.
No, Varnas. Actually,
Varnas and
got messed up. Varnas and ashramas.
Ashramas to show a broader picture of cooperation and teamwork than, say, an urban temple which mostly engages brahmanas, or an ownership model which can foster separatism. And because no input of money is required of members, anyone being priest who desires to join the community can do so if he or she meets the community's requirement for membership, regardless of their financial standing.
Yeah, so some devotees, they got together, and near Hyderabad, about 60 miles from Hyderabad, there is Yadagiri Gutta, Lakshmi Narasimha temple. So they bought some land. Everybody bought 1 acre, 2 acre, this and that. Initially they said, yeah, we are all cooperating. This is our Hare Krishna movement. Over a period of time, people started erecting, compound walls, not wall, but like fence. They said, this is my property. I will grow my own crops. And after that, what happened? The rainfall failed for 3 years in a row. So their whole project was unsuccessful because everybody was trying to do their own show, right? So initial intentions are good, but over a period of time, what happens? People will fall victim to selfishness or whatever the case might be, right? Even like lack of cooperation. So we have to be careful. I mean, it is not an easy thing, right? We may think it is easy, but it is not easy.
One quick question, Prabhuji.
Yes, sir.
How many such projects are successful right now across different locations?
So depending on the maturity model, Eco Village in Bombay is successful. Nandagrama in Gujarat is successful. Nandagrama is actually level 5 in maturity because they don't even have jobs, right? At least people go to Eco Village in Bombay, they have jobs outside and there are some brahmacharis on site. But the Nandagram, they said entry criteria is you have to quit your job. You quit your job and come live with us. You can have your own savings. Nobody's going to touch your savings. But going forward, it will be a community model.
But
right?
One thing, Prabhuji, one question. See, not everybody, because of the way we used to work, because of the culture we have been to, so not everyone can go and work in the farms and fields, right? So how is it going to work in that case?
Like the Nandagram project, none of them had any experience in agriculture. Only one person had experience. So there are 20 families that moved there. Most of them were software engineers from Baroda and Mumbai. because that's where most of the Gujarati and Maharashtrians live, right? So Baroda and Mumbai. So they got inspired. They said, okay, we will go and serve Srila Prabhupada's mission. So they all got together. Initially, they did not know what to do. So they all went there. They built one cottage. The men went there. They started living. Slowly, they built more cottages. They're employing local labor also. It's not like they are building it with their own hand. Local labor is not very expensive because this is like 2 hours by car from Baroda. So it's like pretty rural area in the Narmada River Valley. They said, okay, we have savings now. What's the point of earning 1.5 lakhs a month while our kids have to go to Karmi schools and then learn nonsense, learn smoking, learn this, that. So they bought their kids. Once the cottages were ready, they moved into the cottages. In India, you don't have all these bylaws and challenges that we have here in America. Right here, you have to follow so many rules to do anything on agricultural land. They say it's either agriculture zoning or commercial zoning or residential zoning. That's it. Mixed use neighborhoods are yet to come up in America. But there they said, okay, this is your land, you do whatever you want to do. So they built cottages. And then there was one person who was very Brahmanically inclined. He was very Sanskrit scholar. They said, okay, now you be the Brahmana for us. You teach all of our kids shlokas, Bhagavad Gita, everything. There was one person, he comes from a business family. They said, okay, you are the Kshatriya because you are a Gujubai who knows business very well. We trust you to be a Kshatriya. So he is like dealing with governments, all the permits, loans. So we have a Brahmana, we have a Kshatriya. Then a lot of people said, we have no idea what to do. Okay, now you go figure out how to take care of cows, learn from other neighborhood farmers. So there was one person who already had cows in his family tradition. So they said, you are the Vaishya leader. He's training other Vaishyas. The rest, you have no clue, right? What to do. Okay, now you become Shudra. You serve these other 3 Varnas. I mean, ultimately, everybody goes to Mangalarti together. Everybody takes turns to give Srimad Bhagavatam class. But based on their capabilities, those Varnas were automatically formed, right? And there's nobody's complaining. They're not saying, "Arey, why did you make me Shudra?" Because you don't know Sanskrit, you cannot teach, you don't have skills to deal with city government, so you are not a Kshatriya. You don't have skills to take care of cows and farming, so you are not a Vaishya. So you serve these other 3 groups. Whoever gives you any task, okay, you go to Baroda, take care of this. Okay, you take a scooter, go to Baroda, take care of some governmental matter, come back, like that. So it is natural evolution, right? I cannot do many things. I know that.
Yeah.
But I will do what I am capable of doing.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Professor.
But in the modern corporate world, what do they do? Okay, if you go to an engineering college, okay, we assume that you are good at programming, we'll give you a job. Now you figure out how to do it. That's why you see that at work, some people finish their work at 6 hours, in 6 hours. Some people take 10 hours. Yes or no?
Yes, yeah, that's true.
Right? And the fellow who finishes 6 hours, he'll go from bench to bench, desk to desk and disturb other people. He'll say, "Arey, wo kya ho gaya, ye ho gaya, wo ho gaya." The other fellows are crying, "Arey, kaam nahi ho raha hai." And this fellow will go and disturb these other people. Because he's too sharp, he's too smart actually.
Yeah.
So this Varnashrama system is actually encouraging people to do what they are good at. Right? This is what you read, Sridhar Gopal, in the previous slide, right?
Yes, yes.
Let's go back to the previous slide. Each devotee can honestly engage according to his or her own propensity or as needed. As needed means if there is a higher service, then the higher up, either the Brahmana or Kshatriya will say, no, you are very talented at this, but please come and join this other thing. You get the point?
Yes, yeah.
So based on that propensity, we are engaging people according to where their natural talent lies. Right? Remember, Chatur Varnam, Maya Shrishtam. Krishna only created these 4 Varnas.
Yeah.
Guna karma vibhagasaha. How did he divide it? Based on guna, quality, and karma, activity. So somebody may have a kshatriya guna, but he may have like no muscles to really do that, right? So you are not a kshatriya, you are 4 foot tall, and you are, very intelligent, but you want to be a kshatriya. No, maybe you should be a brahman, right? Maybe because because you are very intelligent, you should use your intelligence in the service of the community. Devi Varnashram.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So this modern life, what it does is it artificially slots us into certain things. Like, when I first came to America, I was a mechanical engineer, and I worked as a mechanical engineer in America for a low salary. Then somebody said, why don't you apply in IT? You'll get a good salary. So I applied. Immediately, within a week, I got a call, and within 2 weeks, I had a job. And they made me technical team lead for a software production. I said, Arey Baba, I've never written code. No, you are Indian, you are good at it. So my skin color automatically made me into IT. Then I went and got a master's degree in computer science after working for a little while. You see how it works?
Yeah.
Based on my skin color, I was branded. Because you're Indian, you should be good at IT. They made me into IT. Right?
Yeah.
Although I was a mechanical engineer, I was perfectly okay with that. Of course, mechanical engineering doesn't pay much. But so this model, Krishna's model, will allow us to use our original propensity. Right? Krishna cannot be wrong. He is the Supreme Personality. So he knows how to engage different people according to their propensity. Right? Okay. Did you read the fourth one, preaching by example?
Yes, bro. I had one question, bro.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
I see one problem where, like, now maybe there are 10 people, but 8 people are working hard on all other things, but 2 people are just slacking, right? So, and there's
2
no
people are
check.
just what?
They're just not doing anything.
Hare, who said they are not doing? The Brahmana has to do Mangalarti, then he has to do Darshanarti, so much work, and then he has to, look at all the problems and give suggestions. He has to facilitate brainstorming.
No, Prabhu. What I'm saying is, like, you get a community of 50 people. Everybody's working on certain assigned tasks.
Correct.
But some of them or few of them just do shoddy work or just don't get involved in any services, and they just get by. So, but there's no check and balance to make that person realize that, okay, you have to contribute, right?
No, they will contribute. Actually, nobody wants to goof off. It is just that their propensity has not been tapped into.
So in Nandagram Prabhu, this is Radhananda. So they now started allotting individual lands, so individual plot of land. So they don't have a communal model. So there's a motivation for people to work. So it's if it is like a communal model, then some of the things that Bihari Prabhu was saying, happens, where there's a communal farm and then there's a labor involved and someone's lacking. Now what they are doing is you are they will come and help you. It's not that you're on your own. If you need suggestions or any help or support, but you are responsible for your own yield on that plot of land, and then you grow your own food. So they are going into that model to make individuals accountable.
Yeah, that's a good point, Radhanan Prabhu. Yeah, when I went there, they were telling that they were going to give everybody, like they already gave some people land, and they're going to give tracts of land to other people, because the first person who was given land, he already produced 300 kgs of moong dal, and everybody was like thrilled. Wow, you can do it. Because initially, they were skeptical, right? But this Prabhu produced so much that they even sold it outside the community. They sent an email. Even I got an email saying, hey, we have excess moong dal. Who wants to buy it? Of course, I'm so far away, right?
So Prabhu, how much land do they have, like, to begin with in the beginning? Like, are they acquiring more, or they just had something and they divided among themselves?
I think they have 33 acres of land that they had
Okay.
initially purchased.
I see.
And then it is on the banks of Narmada, so its water is easily accessible. But now they are acquiring another village, and it's more to do with communal, because they're thinking, future, some of these kids as they grow up, they want to have a community where the boys could marry girls, and it would be appropriate in the same village. So so they're sort of expanding, and there is also demand from more devotees wanting to join. And so, in order to facilitate marriages within second generation and things like that, they are already buying another larger plot of land and replicate that model in a different village. Not too far away, but.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's more organic going forward, right? Otherwise, like, if everybody is like dependent on somebody else, then slacking would sink in on some of them.
So what Nandagram is doing, more like the Big Four consulting company model, right? Essentially, in Big Four consulting, they will say, okay, now you go and grow business there in this particular area. And once we see that you have good promise, you'll be made a partner. And then partner gets some, share in the company, like that. So it looks like some of those techniques are also being used, which is a good thing, actually. There is incentive for people to not slack off, right? Because now if you're producing more, wow, you're actually producing more. It's a good thing. You get to have a higher dividend. Okay, so those were the legal aspects. These two slides were like, what are the elements of the Daivi Varnashrama system and what is the legal model under which in America you have to establish this. Indian government is a little more lax, right? On the rural land, you can do whatever you want to do, but you cannot do the same thing on Bombay or Baroda, like that.
So Prabhu, are there any farms in US which follow the Daivi Varnashra Dharma and 501?
I'll come to that. I have slides for that. Okay.
Okay.
So the next one is these slides I put together in collaboration with under guidance of Arulas Maharaj. He said put together some simple slides on what these homes should look like. So obviously this is not like your $1.5 million home, Devnath. These are very simple structures, as you can see, right? These are almost like log cabins. So you have small structures like that. You may put in a little bit of, fiberglass so that the house doesn't get cold in winter or too warm in summer, like that. And then components are like compostable toilet. So basically there is a pit, and I saw this in Nandagram also. They dug a pit under the homes, just under the toilet area. So all the stool goes and sits there. And then after 1 year, it is converted into manure when no longer biological activity happens there. And then heating purpose, because in winter, everywhere in the world, it gets cold. So you have these dual stoves. I saw them on Amazon for like $600. You can cook on the top, and then the bottom heating is happening. And then the chimney, the heat is spread throughout the home through diffusers. Not the smoke, but actually the heat is diffused. And of course, you could have solar panels and home wiring, and then you can have laundry wringer. You put in there and you rotate it, all the water goes out. Just like simple conveniences so that your hands don't get hurt too much. So these simple homes are possible in America very easily. Each one may cost only like $15,000 each, these homes, but it will be more like forest living. It will not be like a 4-bedroom living, obviously. And then farming. Now the modern trend in farming is called vertical farming. What's happening is land is quickly getting purchased in cities. Right now, when I came, Sammamish had a lot of rural land. I used to see goats as soon as I come out of my home right side and go on the main road. There were farmers who had goats. All that is gone. Now you have some ultra modern homes in its space. So since there is no space, the trend is indoor glasshouse based vertical farming. So you see they're all LED lights, full spectrum lights, and then food is being grown in indoor. Like I went to YouTube, and then in Chennai area, one Tamilian was growing turmeric for export. And he said it was pretty profitable actually to do it indoor. It uses only like 2 to 3% of the water that, because in outdoors you pour water, right? Most of it goes to the ground. It doesn't go to the roots. Here they have some micro sprinklers directly aimed at the roots of the plants. And Jeff Bezos invested in one of the vertical farm called Plenty, right? Here he's doing this Plenty thing here. There's a little logo on the beans. I don't know if you can see that logo, right? So what are the problems for traditional farming? If the food coming from Texas all the way to Seattle, due to long shipping time, half the taste is gone and 50% of the nutrients they are saying is gone. And population, increasing urban population, environmental challenges. So the solution is to grow vertically, which is sustainable. It grows 350x than a traditional farm. So I have to actually see a farm to believe that statement, 350x, right? Uses 1% as much water. And then they use robots and things like that minutely to track. And they're monitoring IoT devices. It's really high tech. The cost of one lettuce grown in a vertical farm is $3.50 versus traditional farm is like 70 cents or something. So it's about 5 times more expensive today. But as population grows and land vanishes, then this will become more financially viable. So go to Google and say Plenty, and then you will see how Jeff Bezos invested in that, and you will learn more, right? So this, if you are high-tech oriented, this has all the elements of a high-tech thing, hydroponics, LED lights. It'll be like a, high-tech museum inside. That's how it will be.
Bro, vertical farming, is it, it's good for vegetables and things like that, but like growing grains would be difficult, right?
No, grains is impossible in a vertical farm.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
But grains don't form 100%, right? Grains form 50%. Remaining 50% are your fresh vegetables and greens.
But also, Prabhu, fruits, you won't be able to grow fruits given the size and height of the trees.
I would say do some research on the internet. You'll be amazed. You'll be amazed.
Probably strawberries, blueberries, so many berries will come to vertical farming only.
Yeah, most of them. Like recently, my wife got something from Safeway. It's very clearly said this is indoor greenhouse grown. They are actually labeling it like that right now. Tomatoes, mostly grown indoors these days near big cities in greenhouses.
In greenhouses, yes.
Yeah.
So I have grown some things in my house using a hydroponic Kratky method, where you don't require any machine and all. I mean, I have grown some. I have some 1 or 2 years experience.
Oh, good.
But not at this large scale, maybe where like everything is machinized. So these guys, they are able to run locally, provide to local restaurants and all. They can make money, and that makes money. Then you can buy something else that you are not able to grow. So,
Basically, right, like fresh dill or fresh mint. If you grow it in Texas and ship it here, it will be dried by the time it arrives here, even with refrigeration, right? So if you want really fresh, you have to like drive to that place, pick it up and bring it to your restaurant.
Yes, Prabhu, we grow the curry leaves in our house. We notice that the taste we get with the curry leaves and the one we buy in like Mayuri is completely different.
Yeah. Teach us, Prabhu, how to grow curry leaves.
Sure, Prabhu.
Yeah. So now we have 2 vertical farmers already at home. One is Devnath Hari, one is, what is your initiated name, Vikas?
Vihari Das.
Vihari, Prabhu. Yeah. So we have 2 already. That's because your Guru Maharaj is himself a farmer. Okay. So in 2020, agriculture has changed, right? You don't just randomly throw water at plants. There are small pipes under the roots of the plants, and then you do drip, drip, drip. It's called drip irrigation. Originally pioneered in Israel, but now all over the world, water shortage is happening. So they're doing drip irrigation. You have moisture sensors. These are all like IoTs. They can actually track how much is coming. Precision sprinklers, only where it is needed, right? So there is enough literature now to find out where if you water, it is most effective. So maybe 2 feet from the trunk, it is most effective. So they'll water there 2 feet from the trunk. Or 20 inches, they'll just give water wherever it is needed. And even the technology for homes is now improved. Traditional water use per per person was 137 gallons. And now it has come down to 74 gallons through intelligent use and reclaimed water. So potable water means drinking water goes to kitchen and for bath, for showers. And for flushing the stool, you don't need potable water. So they're using reclaimed water. It's pretty common in LA, San Jose areas. And now other places, our water table is also going down. If you do a keyword search, Washington watershed. So we are also struggling with that slowly. So far, rainfall is good, but no, it'll change. So here is the layout for the Daivi Varnashram village. I saw something similar in Croatia when I went there with my Guru Maharaj. So some dwellings and composting toilet room right next to the dwelling. All right. And then you could build a separate toilet or use common bathhouse. In Croatia, they only had common bathhouses, one for women, one for men. And you could have a mesh network to give Wi-Fi to all the dwellings. You could have common storage, locker room, wood storage room. You could have optional biodigester from all the gobar. Right now we have so much gobar in our farm, but we don't have a biodigester to generate electricity, or at least for cooking. For cooking, I think Harulas Maharaj did something simple. So he was actually cooking, on the gobar gas that was coming. Like Kodi, when he went there, Harulas Maharaj cooked on the biogas generated, and he fed Kodi rotis. So Kodi was very thrilled. Any thoughts?
So the biodigester setup is there on the farm, Prabhu?
Right now, we don't have a full-fledged biodigester. He just has a balloon, like a large latex balloon placed on a large container with gobar, will blow up, right? And then using the gas, he's cooking. But if you want to be really generating professionally in large scale, then you need to have a big well, and then you need to have a polymer container. What happens when methane comes? The polymer container goes up. And once you use all the methane, the polymer container goes down. Again, next day you add more gobar, again the polymer container comes up. Simple Archimedes principle. So it will require some lifestyle change. I mean, I'm not saying this is easy. This will be very difficult, especially for Matajis. They'll say, oh, I'm used to attached toilet, and now you are asking me to go to a composting toilet room. You could still make the composting toilet room attached to your home, but this is not Vedic, right? Vedic system is, you should not have toilet in your house. The whole house is contaminated when you pass stool. Vedic system is you pass stool in a separate building, and then you come, go to the bathroom, take bath, and then you enter your home. That way your home is always pious. It is not contaminated. Again, there are various variations to this, right? You could have, connected toilet with that, connected bathroom. But the moment you make it all that, then it will become very soon like your existing dwelling. And I've seen in Nandagram, they don't have this model. They have actually pakka homes, very beautiful homes. They have a beautiful kitchen. Only thing is toilet is slightly separate from the home. And then under the toilet, there is a big pit, covered pit with small hole, and all the stool goes in there. After 1 year, for 1 year, they don't use that. And then there are 2 toilets actually in every toilet room. So 1 year they pass stool in one, second year they pass stool in the second one. So that way there is rotation. By the time you actually, take that as a fertilizer, it's already 1 year old. So there are a lot of ingenious techniques that are going on, but this purpose is not just to say, okay, I cannot pay for my main home, that's why I want to go here. No, you are going here consciously. Maybe you have the talent to go do, pay the money for your first home, but still this will be simple. You won't have you won't have a mortgage, right? Because you start with simple, whatever money you have in the bank, with that you can pay it off on day one, the whole structure. So that's one thing. Let's keep going. Western Washington produces fruits and vegetables, and Eastern Washington produces grains. Right? You cannot grow grains here. If you start growing wheat here, it will basically rot. Too much water is enemy for wheat. Technically, you can grow rice, but very few people have tried that. But all these vegetables, you can grow any number. Right? Actually, Washington is one of those states with the highest number of greens in the United States. So many kinds of green leaves like kale, endives.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. One question might be very insignificant. In the previous slide that you showed, do families do they cook individually, or do they have a common kitchen, like where they all have a same prasadam and they all eat? How does the system?
I have seen different models. In Croatia, they have a common kitchen. In Nandagram, they have individual kitchens. They'll have individual kitchens, and they'll call the neighbors and say, okay, well, do you want to eat this? They will call each other. But they have individual kitchens. Yeah. You don't need the communal living doesn't mean community kitchen. You can really cook whatever you want to cook and share whatever you want to share with your neighbors. It's still living like how you are living. But the difference is, right now with your $900,000 home, you'll spend the next 20 years just paying mortgage. And all the time there is stress on your head. What if I lose my job? This, that. With this, right? Whatever savings you have, immediately you fully pay off your home. Simple living, high thinking.
Thank you.
And people are doing it. Croatia, I've seen on internet in Hungary. I've seen in person in Nandagram. And then now they have started a farm community in Vishakhapatnam. They're planning one in Ujjain, one in Pune. There is already one in Karumandara in Karnataka. So devotees, like Srila Prabhupada said, first 50% of the work is to create temples and brahmanas. So that job is already done. We have enough brahmanas in Seattle. We have already one temple and second temple coming up. So the remaining 50% of the work is what? Harulas Maharaj also keeps saying, right? Cow protection, farming. And he's already doing it. He's doing it silently. He doesn't even ask us to come and help him. But he's hoping that just by looking at him, we'll be inspired, and eventually we'll also do it. Like he never asks anybody to carry things for Ananda Mela. He starts carrying. And then people say, Prabhuji, can I help you? And then they start carrying, right? Same thing here. So again, we can debate and discuss on how to do it. But we have to start somewhere, right? If we do it, if few people, like 4 or 5 people start doing it, by like a $300,000 land, 5 people means $50,000 per head, put some dwellings on there, $15,000 each. Start it, right? Initially, again, there is a maturity curve. Initially, we may be working outside, but living there. Slowly, we devote our energy on that one, take early retirement, and make that a reality. And there's no question of failure. Actually, I have not seen anybody fail in this one. Because what happens is, once you do that, right, like Eco Village in Bombay, they started very small way. They were struggling for funds. But now, they don't have to ask for funds. People are coming and giving donations because they saw the model is working. Very inspirational.
So, Prabhuji, even in Eco Village, now people are moving. I mean, they are leaving jobs in Bombay. They are moving full time.
No. Eco Village is not level 5 maturity. It's somewhere between level 3 and level 4.
Yeah, that's right too. But people are, I mean, initially they were only brahmacharis, but now families are also living.
Yeah. So, that's why organic growth is better than forced growth. Right? Initially, you just start with 5 brahmacharis. It grows to 50. I think they have like 100 brahmacharis anyways. So if they can do it, why can't we do it, right? We are from the same country. I studied in Pune. And when I studied in Pune, I graduated in 89, bachelor's degree. There was nobody. There was no, like all these Prabhus that you talk about right now, they did not even exist. But then they made it happen. Just one Prabhu from Chowpatty came to Pune. He seeded that place. And now you have Mangalarti, 200 people, Mangalarti, brahmacharis. Right? So you start somewhere, it will grow. Like, do you think Bill Gates, when he was going at midnight to University of Washington to write DOS program on a public computer, government computer, did he think that he would be so rich? And he will employ all of us? He never thought, right? But it happened. But why work for Bill Gates? We should start our own enterprise and prove to the world that we can also do it. Like Srila Prabhupada said, right? People will come in millions to our farm communities. Today's news, 22 million unemployment in America. So at some point, at least 0.01% of these people will get sick and tired of modern life. And right there, you may have what is 0.01% of 22 million? Maybe 220 people will be willing to join us. ISKCON as a whole. I'm not talking about Seattle. ISKCON as a whole. Okay, let's keep going. So as I was saying, Western Washington, you cannot grow wheat. Some people have tried, but they didn't really succeed. But all these other vegetables and herbs, kale is like part vegetable, part herb. It's very good for health. You can just live on kale juice. You know that? Just drink kale juice for months together. You can live on that. Okay. This is from Hungary. This place called Never Ending Pantry. There was an article on Dandavas.com on how one wife and husband, they established a farm and they have all kinds of eatables. That's why they had an article on Dandavas called Never Ending Pantry. So our community, right? When I went to GBC meetings with Harulas Maharaj in 2007, Madhav Chandra Prabhu and I went with him. So there was one statement that stuck. Vrindavan is rural, devotional service is rural, GBC said. One of the GBC members. So Krishna is not a city man, he is a rural man. So if we want to go to Krishna, then we have to become rural at some point in our life. So our buildings constructed without cement and iron. We'll just go with natural materials. Like in Nandagram, most of them are built with calcium. What is calcium raw material? Chuna as they say in Delhi. So they are getting chuna, and cement, the life cycle curve is cement hardens for the first 2 to 3 years, stays there like that for 20-25 years, and then it starts becoming brittle. And with chuna, it is opposite. It is brittle for the first 1 year, and then it goes on strengthening for next 100, 200 years. So a Chuna house will become stronger by age. Cement house will become weaker by age. The Nandagram people were explaining this to me. That's why if you see Golconda Fort in Hyderabad, the Lal Killa in Delhi, between the stones they put Chuna, they don't put cement, because the Chuna becomes stronger with age. So you can cook on firewood. Firewood is so much firewood. If you go there, you'll see Garuda's home. Behind Garuda's home, so much firewood. And people will give you wood for free because they want to get rid of the wood on their land. So farmers have this, unwritten treaty. If there is something excess with you, you give it to me. If there is something excess for me, I'll give it to you, because it's not even possible to sell some of that stuff. Sufficient field is there, right? Even the 10 acres that we purchased, only practically we are using 3 acres. 7 acres is just waiting there available. I went there recently to kind of, Jana called me there to inspect something. So I went there. So daily time commitment, farming is 4 hours, no more. And that too only in season. But once everything is planted, you have free time. Go Seva 2 hours, DT survey 2 hours, Srimad Bhagavatam 1 hour, cooking and cleaning 2 hours, kids education 2 hours, 6 hours of sleep, and you have 5 hours to think about what is life, according to this model. Like when I went to Nandagram, everybody had so much free time. They were all sitting outside their homes and happily chatting, parents on one side, kids on the other side. Nobody seemed having any stress. By the way, you cannot even join Nandagram. They are at capacity, which means if you put an application, it will be rejected. So they will redirect you to other farm communities. So if you want some adventure, Bhakti Charu Maharaj is leading a farm near Orlando. So one guy, so his plan is to move to the farm and commute. He's a IT consultant. So initially he will commute to Orlando or wherever he works, and then gradually stop working. Murari Sevak Farm, Mulberry, Tennessee, full-time Grihasthas. Sandy Ridge Farm, Prabhupada Village, Sandy Ridge, North Carolina. Alachua's Eco Teaching Farm in Alachua, Florida. And Balram Sustainable Living, one of my god brother from San Diego. He quit his teaching job, he went there, and I wouldn't say exactly he's thriving, he's struggling, but he's not backing out, he's still there. What happened was one of the other family that committed to come, they backed out last minute. So he cannot run it on his own fully. So he's in a holding pattern right now. What about parents? Take care of their soul. In Nandagram, devotees moved en masse with parents and kids. Parents will take care of your kids and you can focus more on preaching to local villagers. So everybody can be there, everybody under one roof. In Czech Republic, post-peace. So if you want to give a rating, Nandagram would be level 5 because it is a Daivi Varnashrama community. People are not living separate from the farm. People are living on the farm. Post-peace Czech Republic, similar. They have, as you can see, this is not a traditional Vedic farm. They have this big barn because they're commercially producing fruits and vegetables. Here is Eco Village in Alachua. So this is somewhere between maturity rating 3 and 4. Because as you can see, the 3 pictures, the Mataji is the same. She's doing all the work. Everybody else is a visitor, right? Husband is driving a tractor, calling all the local villagers to show them how to live simply. So they have this concept of like, a tractor will drive a trailer. In the trailer, all these people sit on hay. So they'll have like a day picnic. Florida also an agricultural state, just like us, very similar. Our farm in Auburn, we are getting a small profit of 10K per year. Not much. We are not in a loss. That's a good thing. You can connect with the world called with the internet. Garuda is living the best life, I would say. He is living close to the cows. Temple has provided him with a nice home on the farm. So think about it. Garuda has the best life here, I would say, compared to all the IT guys.
Prabhuji, but there's so much of physical work that Garuda Prabhu has to do alone, right?
Yeah, he's happily doing Mataji. He thinks of that as Go Seva. He's not think of that as pain. Right? I mean, once in a while when his hands ache, he'll say, "Arey, bahut kaam ho gaya, haath dukh rahe hain." But did he leave? No, he didn't leave us, right? He's enjoying it.
Yeah, but when we have to get to that life, we should be ready for the physical work as well, right?
No, there are techniques, Mataji. Not everybody has to do the physical work.
Okay.
There could be one tractor doing all the digging. So you're only planting the seeds and watering again. If you put drip irrigation, if you put the pipes, the watering, there are techniques for everything actually.
Okay.
So here is the Govardhan Eco Village. So there is community living on your right side. There are cow products like butter, ghee, all that. There is cow care. There are solar panels. There are green buildings. There's organic farming using the cow dung. There is rainwater conservation pond, because water is everything. On a farm, without water, you're dead. You have to learn to conserve. Actually, I was seeing a video where this farmer in Texas, who has probably like 1,000 acres of farm, he is using water catchment areas. Whenever rain comes, he will catch water, he will drill holes into the ground so that underground water is replenished. So when in summer you don't have rain, then you'll put a deep bore well, 600 feet, and then suck the same water out. If the same water is in a pond, what happens? Sun will evaporate everything, right? So this is natural technique of saving water underground. You will do that. They have a biogas plant. Not very difficult. So many Indians, like even in Vrindavan area, they are doing biogas because it is free energy. Then they have floriculture and biodiversity, right? Of course, now they have manpower. They had like what? Somewhere between 5 and 80 brahmacharis at various stages in their life cycle. Unless we start, we are not going to finish. Right? Like, did anybody think that you will be like a Hare Krishna devotee 20 years ago?
Never.
Never, right? Eating meat, watching movies, talking nonsense, bad language. No, you're all gentlemen. Given up all bad habits, chanting Hare Krishna. How did that happen? Because you wanted to make it happen. Right? So there are many natural cycles in nature. There is carbon cycle, water cycle, and nitrogen cycle. So you have to manage these cycles. That's all you're doing. Nature takes care of everything else. Goloka farm, experiment of two families, Harulas Maharaj's family and Madhavchandra Prabhu's family. They bought neighboring plots. There is Harulas Maharaj here on the lower left corner. He has put so many raised beds and he's growing so many things. Amazing, amazing. And these are not even devotees. Due to COVID-19, a lot of people are converting their backyards into farms. They are raising beds, putting some fertilized mud. They are growing crops and delivering home. Because people don't want to go to Safeway or QFC. They are scared. What if Corona hits them? So they are calling all these small farmers and say, "Hey Baba, do you have some tomatoes?" "Ah, yeah, maybe I have 2 pounds. Okay, we deliver. I'll pay $3 per pound." So this lady gets onto her bike, takes the 2 pounds, delivers and takes $6 and comes back home. In New Orleans. how Native Americans like American Indians are coping. Many have started collecting seeds to plant in their gardens at home. So the Native American dish is a stew made out of taperi beans and elderberries. So they're taking some berries, they're putting some beans, making stew, and that is their lunch and dinner. Because there's a shortage of food right now. And then here, these people in Sacramento area. Sacramento is between Bend, Oregon and San Jose. They're producing, I mean, they're also scared of Corona, but they're putting on masks. They're producing these vegetables. They're saying, "Arey, somebody has to live. At least let me be an instrument to help other people live." So they're producing vegetables and giving it to schools, families of school children. These are all from New York Times. You can go and review them. By the way, New York Times is one of the best newspapers I have seen. Very unbiased reporting. Here is another Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, American Indian Reservation. You see, they put a greenhouse. They are doing vertical farming, 3 levels. But in commercial vertical farming, you go 10 levels. And then you have a robot picking up that tray and bringing it down. So on these, American Indians also are simple livers. They don't have refrigerators or freezers. So what they do, they dry their vegetables, and in winter, they can eat them. So corn with berries is called Vagmiza Vazna. So that is their traditional diet. Berries give you all the antioxidants, and corn gives you all the protein. Done. So food is the next frontier, and now we have to make a decision, right? We have a 322-acre farm we saw with Namrata Prabhu and Harulas Maharaj and Garuda and Jana, right? You can actually, technically we can go build cottages. I'm not saying whether it will happen tomorrow or not, but on a plot like that. And kids can learn on online universities, right? If you have a mesh network, you can study from anywhere. Right now, we are already doing online education. My daughter is attending UW from home. Every day she goes, she has Teams, Microsoft Teams calls with her professors. They are teaching online, she's learning. So are all of your kids, right? So this COVID has taught us that you don't need to physically step into a university to learn. Second option, move to farms and teach greenhouse farming. Jeff Bezos, as I said, invested in a vertical farm called Plenty. He's not stupid, right? He's the world's richest man. And he's very shrewd businessman. Option 3, downsize in place. So we have a farm in Enumclaw, 10 acres. I just saw that on Zillow. 10 acres, 10 to 12 acres, around 300K. You can build some dwellings. 10 acres is 890K because it has already a beautiful house on it. But without the house, you can get it for around 300K. So if 5 families pool in the money, we can easily afford one such farm, right? So yesterday I had 29 people. Today I only have 14 people. So people are tired of hearing me, but they should hear this message. This is the main message. So you go there, pool money, stay in one location. Why I'm saying pool money is, if I pay, say, 80K down payment and I take a loan, and if the farm fails, right, then it'll be too much of a hassle. But if 5 families go there, it is distributed risk and distributed reward. And also, it'll be boring for one family to do it. Madhachandra Prabhu was saying, I went on a farm, but most of the action was here in the temple. Right? It's not easy to live unless there are other families, like-minded people, because he has neighbors, but the neighbor farms are all karmis. They eat meat, they want to make money, they do gambling, so you cannot associate with them. So we need some families where we can go and do this collectively. It's more fun collectively. If you do it alone, it's not fun. And if you don't do this, right, I'm guaranteeing you, we'll just chant some rounds, go to temple once in a while. One fine day, we'll just simply die. We'll not really take the next step. It is bound to happen. Right? We've already lost so many senior devotees in our congregation. Radha Nilmadhav Mataji. She was living with her, daughter-in-law in an apartment or house or whatever, right? Normal life. She never had a chance to really experience the higher taste. So we have to do it. Whether we do it tomorrow, we do it in 2 years, we need to have a plan. Maybe first we do it part-time and then gradually go full-time. And somebody may say, Arey Baba, I want to go to India, this, that. Here are my statements. Oh, I love Pune. I want to move back. You are sufficiently Americanized. If you go to Pune, you won't fit. Live in an American farm and chant Hare Krishna. That's it. Oh, I don't know if my counselor in Chowpatty will agree. Well, if you're taking the next mega step, every Vaishnava will be happy. Venugopal Prabhu moved to Mayapur. Simple living. He didn't even have a bed. So I slept on the floor next to him. That's it. He said, Prabhu, I'll sleep on the floor. You also sleep on the floor. Okay, they say, I may say, I love India. I want to go back. Try going back. Your kids don't want to go back. So are you going to commute back and forth between America and India? I want to work forever in corporate America. Corporate America does not want you. Like, Ajit Krishna Prabhu's both kids are already engineers, and one is in Goldman Sachs, one is working in Amazon or someplace. So our days are numbered. We are already growing old. Or you can say, I will stay in temple and chant Hare Krishna. But Srila Prabhupada wanted us to follow Varnashram, right? It's not possible in a temple setting. You can do a little bit, but how many of us are doing it? So we have to get serious. For good or for bad, we have been Americanized in thought, behavior, and action. So don't think that you will have a different plan. Questions, comments?
Prabhuji, you mentioned about first trying it part-time and then gradually moving, right? What is your guidance on those lines?
Guidance means first we have to, let's write down the next steps, right? The next is appendix. So we are done actually. So next steps. First is identify property. Buy property.
Yeah, Prabhuji, before this, just to get theoretical knowledge of it, when we say part-time, making the transition easier, because we have been used to this kind of living. So when we say transitioning from our current lifestyle to a farm lifestyle, how do we transition?
You can go 1 inch at a time into water or directly dive into water.
Yeah, I'm talking about that 1 inch, 1 inch, half inch, like that. No, got it. Okay.
So these are steps, right? Each one of these steps may take 1 month or 1 year. We don't know that yet, but sooner the better.
Thank you.
For the previous slide, Prabhuji, one more additional point.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of uncertainty being on H1. So what are your suggestions, Prabhuji?
If you are on H1, you will live on the farm and you will work here for a longer time. You cannot avoid that till you get a green card. Once you get a green card, nobody can kick you out.
Prabhuji, but we, I don't know, majority in this call are come as highly skilled category and H1B. But I don't think so anyone can work in the lab, I agree in that case.
No, you live on the farm and work at corporations till you become a green card.
Okay.
See, if you rent your home, you will get $2,000. And now you live on the farm and you only spend $1,000, because if you count the cost of the farm plus cost of the dwelling, if you average amortize it per month, it should not cost you more than 1,000, 1,200. So you're actually net saving money. Again, this is the model Prabhupada suggested. I'm not saying that it will work for everyone. But unless you do it, how do you know it will work for you or not?
That I agree, Prabhu. Unless you dig into that, you don't know what is a deep.
Yeah. So suppose if it doesn't work out, how much did you invest? You invested only 50,000 for land and maybe 15,000 for that cottage. You can still use it as a weekend cottage. But unless you dig in, how do you know? But I'm telling you, if you maintain your current lifestyle, you'll have to work till you die.
That is definitely.
Like Ajit Krishna Prabhu, 2 sons are grown up, but he's still working. He didn't retire. And you may produce something wonderful. Your son may become a brahmachari because he is raised on a farm. He might become like Gauranga Prabhu, for example. Isn't that better than him becoming one more IT guy in Microsoft?
No, bro. Yeah, definitely not.
Because IT guys, there is no guarantee we'll go back to Godhead. But if you are a full-time brahmachari, you will go back. Because you don't have any other avocation.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So in our case, since both of our sons, now they are working professionally. So what we are thinking is to retire in Mayapur. So we already have an apartment there. So sooner
But
or
retiring
later,
in Mayapur, you are wasting your valuable talent, right? You'd rather should be as far away from Mayapur as possible and preach. Like you should say, look, I am an accomplished engineer. I worked in Microsoft, but I am doing this for a reason. Because Krishna consciousness is more valuable than working in Microsoft. What will, like if 5,000 people go to Mayapur, who are you going to preach to? They'll be your dadas, bade bade dada aayenge wahan par. They will teach you. Who are you going to preach to? Actually, my Guru Maharaj gave a lecture on this topic. He said, it doesn't make any sense to go to Vrindavan or Mayapur to retire. You go there. Every year you go there for 1 month or 1 week, whatever. You have to use, like what did, when George Harrison went to Prabhupada and said, I want to quit and become a full-time preacher or full-time devotee. Prabhupada said, no, you are the Beatles. You use your name and fame in the service of Krishna. So what did George Harrison do? In his songs, he would somehow introduce a line, Krishna, Hare Krishna, like My Sweet Lord, right? My sweet Lord, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, my sweet Lord. That's how he sang. He somehow inserted Krishna's word so that even till day, if you go to YouTube and listen to his song, you are getting Hare Krishna from a Hare Krishna devotee. So he's a preacher. So for you, especially with your corporate background, you should be a A-class preacher. You should say, you should use So many excuses to preach. Corona to preach. Every opportunity to preach, actually. You keep your apartment there. Go there and live for 1 month every year during Kartik. Rest of the time, you are living on a farm, and people say, Prabhu, you are, you have such a good degree. You are worked in Microsoft. Why are you doing these small things, playing with cows? Say, there is something higher here. So then you start preaching.
Yes, Prabhu, I agree with you. I mean, that's the plan, is to make that as the base. So
No, that can never be the base. That's a wrong base. Rompat Maharaj said, we are not a rules and regulation movement. We are a preaching movement. Your base should be Seattle. From Seattle, anywhere in America, you are there in 3 to 5 hours flight. Done.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say, is that we just keep our stuff there, but then we just go wherever it's required in the world.
No, that is true, but people are not waiting for you to come and give classes. There are way too many traveling preachers in ISKCON right now. Right? We are lucky to have one preacher from either Pune or Chowpatty every month in our temple. Almost every month. So there are way too many preachers right now, traveling preachers. You need to be in one place and preach to the local community. Like if you are in, say, Kent area or Auburn area, right? You should say, before I die, I'll make 10 solid devotees. That should be our goal. Like I know one Radhanath Maharaj disciple, he was there in Denver, or Spanish for Cuta. And he rented an apartment and he would cook prasadam and he would call all the engineers in that neighboring area. And he produced 10 or 12 devotees. That should be your goal. Not like, oh, I'll be in Mayapur, once in a while I'll fly here and there. Preaching is local, actually. Global reach, local effect. Local impact, global reach. That should be your mantra. And if you go to Pune, actually, I would encourage you to go to Pune. There's so many brahmacharis coming out of there that they are much better than you, Prabhu, or me in preaching. So I would say focus on your strengths, right? Your strength is that you're a technocrat. So people will be inspired when a technically minded person like you talks very simple things like growing potatoes on the ground or taking cow dung and making gobar gas. They'll be very inspired. Why are you doing this? Oh, because I love Krishna. So that's going to be our mantra. Local impact, global reach. That is another mantra. I do it for Krishna. We can do it, actually. It's not very difficult. And it is not high risk item also. Like you're not going to risk your whole life savings. Worst comes to worst, what will you do? Just like Madhav Gopinath, he invested in the Yadagirgutta farm. When Yadagirgutta farm became very, it went from a level 4 down to level 2, where everybody was doing it for themselves. He went back and joined Infosys. They took him with wide open arms. They said, welcome back. That's it. And then some people said, no, we are not going back to corporate America. So they started a new farm in Srikakulam in Andhra Pradesh, coastal Andhra. And they said, this time we will not have individual property. It's all collective property. Because individual means everybody will, again, lust, greed, and envy will set in. Harullas Maharaj did it at the age of what? He bought his farm when he was 69 or 70. Now he's 74. Maybe did it at 69, yeah. And so many people go to his farm from Redmond. They'll go there, they'll just play with the cows a little bit. So gradually they are becoming devotees. Somehow or the other, they are becoming. So any other questions?
Prabhuji, this is Meenal. I have a question about the stuff that we grow as a community on the farm. What is the guidance on, how does the distribution happen? Because you say it's like it belongs to everyone.
Yeah. So
then like how do you divide or how do you distribute?
Yeah, so we talked about it yesterday. Were you there yesterday?
I think I listened partially, not fully.
Yeah. Okay, can you read this here? Communal living means?
Oh, sorry, I'm on phone, so I'll try. Yeah, communal living means that the entire entity's property and assets are owned in community, not by private persons or parties, and that the members are maintained by a common treasury. Common treasury means that all income from the community's businesses and property is kept in the entity's treasury, which in turn is used to defray costs of operating the community's businesses as well as its members and their families on all levels. Members do not have to contribute all of their assets and possessions to the organization upon joining. That is, no vow of poverty is required. Indeed, they can live in luxury if treasury permits. However, members and their families are asked to derive their ongoing maintenance exclusively from the communal businesses and activities. By law, members may have some outside income for extras as long as acquiring such does not interfere with their full-time service for and responsibility towards the community.
Yeah, so suppose you want to make some extra income and then you continue your job in Microsoft. So what it means is you don't buy a Tesla and then come to show it off to everybody else in the farm community. You will still continue to remain simple living.
Yeah, okay.
So everybody will have their own home, everybody will have their own kitchen, everybody will have their own bank balance. We are not taking away your bank balance. We are saying showcase to the world that devotees can come together, cooperate, and live in mode of goodness. Right now, we are all living in mode of passion, right? Even if you want to be in goodness, your boss won't let you. They'll say, okay, where are the results? Come on, show me. So you have to push yourself to mode of passion. It's simply not possible to be in mode of goodness in corporate America.
Yeah, okay, Prabhuji, thank you.
Okay. So think about it. We should have more conversations on this. But with COVID situation, this is just like an impetus. COVID or no COVID, we still have to go back to Godhead. How we are going to do it, it's up to us. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Do you want a class again next week or are we done?
We can have a class, Prabhuji.
Okay, maybe next Monday. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.